Hello, everybody. Am I properly audible and visible? You can let me know in the chat box. Hi, guys. How are you? We'll be quickly starting in 2 minutes, right? Cool. Right. Hi, guys. So, how are you? How many assignments have you done till now? Bhavya will be joining us in like 2-3 minutes. He is just running an errand. So, by the time, let me know how you are and how many questions you have solved till today. And how many of you are like first timers here? Right, we have some answers. Peter says I'm fine. Muzammil says yesterday's class notes. Hi Muzammil, I know the notes are a bit late because we are shooting a couple videos to accommodate in the notes. So we would ask you to be a little more patient. By tomorrow, of course, you would have your notes for sure. So just wait a couple more hours, and by tomorrow you'll be having the notes. We're just shooting some videos for the notes, right? So that we can make the notes more interactive and more easy to just go through, more easy to absorb, I would say, right? So you would have the notes pretty fast. Chat is disabled. Let me just check if the chat is disabled. uh no, I think you are able to send the chats. Let me see if that is the case. Is my chat visible to you? Got it, got it. So now you can send it, right? You can start sending your chats. Uh, you can only I would be able to see your chat, so you can just put in. Prashant says that this is his first class. So hi Prashant, Bhavya will be soon joining us, and he will be giving you a tour of what all things he has covered so far, and what is your go-to point from now onwards. Since we have already covered 3 classes, you would have like a little bit of lag off, but I'm sure nothing that you cannot cover up in the next few days, right? So just buckle up your shoes, and we'll just have Bhavya joining us. I think he's already here with us, and he'll be giving you a good brief about what all things he has covered so far. Essentially, variables, mathematical operations, I think conditional statements, and today you're going to start off with loops, right? So this is what we have covered in terms of, I would say, topics. And are you part of our WhatsApp group? Because there you'll be finding all the recaps, and you'll be able to become part of special sessions as well, and notes. Although we are like running a little bit behind on the notes, but soon enough you'll be having all your notes in the group itself, right? So you can go through that. Cool. So Bhavya is here, and I'll be giving it off to him. And I hope you guys are doing your assignments properly. Chalo, bye bye.
Okay, guys. Yeah. Just okay. Okay. So how are you guys doing? Sorry, I got a little bit late tonight. I am fine. How are you, Muzammil? So I heard Itakshi, she was asking you how many assignments you guys have solved. So how many is it? And what all topics have you completed so far? That's more important. Because in the class, in the lectures, we have covered till conditional statements yesterday, right? So yesterday we had seen all the variations of conditional statements. So are you done with those assignments, or are you planning to start now? What is the status there? Tell me. अरे बताओ यार, कहाँ चले जाते हो तुम लोग? Cool then. So, for the people who are joining in for the first time tonight, I'm Bhavya Pandey. I will be your instructor for the next 6 days now, including tonight. And so far, we have covered some basic concepts, and now we are going to build on top of that. The topic that we have for tonight is loops, right? That's a pretty interesting topic, as well as it is very useful, very fundamental, but very useful, right? So it's easy to understand, but it is very important that we understand what loops are. Okay. So, okay, you haven't completed yesterday's assignments, but yeah, you should do it now. Suraj, I have good expectations from you. Okay. So please, like, don't have any backlog. That's what I would suggest. Okay. Just keep doing it at the same pace as lectures. Logical operator, yes, we have completed that. Okay, let me do one thing. Let me just share my screen, and then I guess I can share the agenda for tonight as well. Okay, just a second. Yeah, I guess you can see my screen as well. So before I move on, before I start with what we are planning for tonight, I would just go through what all topics we have covered so far. Okay, what are all the topics that we have covered so far? So we have seen fundamentals of coding, fundamentals of programming. In that, we have seen what variables are, right? We have also seen what conditional statements are. Conditional statements are the if, else, if statements that we use, right? So those are the conditional statements that we have seen. In the process of learning conditional statements, we also saw, so conditional statements, and within conditional statements, like in the yesterday's lecture only, we have also seen relational operators and logical operators. Okay. So I hope it is all pretty clear to you. And as Hitakshi was telling you guys, notes are like in progress. So we are compiling the notes. And as she was suggesting, we are also planning to add certain video clips in between the notes so that you can have a small snippet of me explaining the particular topic that the notes are for. Okay, so that's one thing. For the people who are joining in for the first time tonight, as I was saying, I'm Bhavya. I will be your instructor, and I've been teaching with AccioJob for over 2.5 years. So I've taught a lot of people. And the reason why I'm telling that to you is because I just want to tell you that I like teaching. Okay. So you can freely ask your doubts. You can freely attend these lectures, and you can feel free to ask your doubts. That's the main thing. I'm a 2021 graduate, so I'm not much older than you. So I'm just like your elder brother, or maybe your younger brother for some of you. Okay. So just feel free in learning here and in asking your doubts here. Those of you who have been attending the lecture for the past 2 3 lectures, you would know that I'm fairly friendly with you guys, and that's what I want the new people to know as well. Okay, now that you have entered the class, it's my responsibility to make you understand whatever you are here for. Okay, so having said that, in today's class we are planning to cover a very important concept, as I was telling you, loops, right? So I guess, are we all ready to get started? And do you all have your bottle of water handy? That's one thing that is a prerequisite for this class, right? Speak in Hindi? No, I won't. So basically, Rishi, the way lectures are conducted is I will explain everything in English. Okay. In between, I speak a little bit of Hindi to repeat the important points to make sure that even the Hindi speaking people are able to understand everything. But since we have people from all over the nation, I can't directly go ahead and speak in Hindi. Okay, because then a large segment of the people would not be able to understand, right? At least with English, you can just try to comprehend what I'm saying. Okay, but with Hindi, if someone just does not know Hindi, it would not be possible, right? So I hope you understand. But it's very simple English. It's day-to-day English that I use here. I am also not a pro in English, right? So our target here is to study programming, so not English. So obviously, I'm going to keep it that way. But it's going to be in English, right? I can repeat important things in Hindi, but that's all I can do for you, right? So sorry, and I hope you understand. Laptop kharab ho gaya. Anush, don't worry. Just like watch the lecture and we will talk about it later. Don't worry about it. Like till the time we are in the lecture, you don't necessarily need to have a laptop, right? It's more important while you are practicing. Okay. Anyways, Having said that, I guess now we can get started. I have received a lot of messages saying ready in the chat. Okay, so I guess we can get started now. And as you know, like people who have been attending the lectures and those of you who are new to the whole setup, the first thing that I tell before explaining any concept is why do we need to study that particular concept? So it's not like that is there in the syllabus and we will just have to study it. No, it's never like that. My first intention is to make it very clear if we are studying a particular concept, why we are studying it, right? So as far as the idea of loops is concerned, let's explore why we need loops, and then we will go ahead and see what are loops, what are the different type of loops, and all those different things. But first, let's understand why do we even need loops in the first place, right? So I will take a very simple, very trivial example that has been going on for ages now. बहुत समय से example चल रहा है, right? So and that example is, if I ask you to print hello world on the screen, what will you guys do? Now you are fairly you have covered important concepts in JavaScript and you know how we can print something out on the screen. How can we do that? Using console.log. Okay, so if I ask you to print hello world, what will you do? Console.log hello world. That is what you will do, right? Now, if I want you to print hello world 10 times, if I ask you to print hello world 10 times, what is it that you are going to do? If I ask you to print it 10 times, what will you do? Based on the knowledge that you have so far, some of you might already know how to do it properly, but based on what we have covered in the lecture so far, what we will do is, we know how to print something on the screen, right? That is using console.log. So what we will do is, we will write the statement console.log. Let me just copy paste this one. I don't have to write it again and again. Oh, yeah. Console.log hello world, right? Then again, console.log hello world, right? Then again, console.log hello world. Okay. And you will keep repeating this whole process for how many times? You will keep repeating this for 10 times. That is what we will do, because we don't know any other way of printing something on the screen for 10 times. If I am asking you to print it 10 times, you will be able to do it using this method only, because that is the only thing that you know so far. अभी तक the same thing in Hindi. अभी तक जितना हमने पढ़ा है उसके हिसाब से all we know is, कुछ भी अगर प्रिंट करना है स्क्रीन पे तो console.log यूज कर लेंगे. अब मैं आपको बोल रहा हूँ कि 10 बार प्रिंट करो तो आप 10 बार console.log लिखोगे, राइट? सो switching back, so the only way you know how is writing console.log on the writing console.log 10 times. That is the only way you know in which we can print hello world on the screen 10 times. Okay, but what is the disadvantage of this process? If I ask you, acha, right now it is 10 times. Now let's say I get mad and now I ask you to print it on the screen for 100 times. Then obviously you will get furious, right? Ki it was fine till the time you were asking us to print it 10 times. 10 times we can do, but 100 times? Like, are you our like fifth class teacher that you have to write this particular sentence? I am Bhavya, I will complete my homework on time. So write it in the whole page. It's something like that. It sounds like a punishment to print something on the screen 100 times, right? In that case, you are simply not going to do that. I think all of us can agree with that, right? You're simply going to deny doing that. Ki main nahi kar raha. I'm not going to print it 100 times. Okay. So what is the way to do it? If I ask you to print it 100 times, the only way you know is to write console.log 100 times. Okay. And what is the disadvantage or what is the problem in doing that? What is the problem in writing the same statement 100 times? So first is, it is time taking. It is time taking. And as I have already told you while I was teaching you variables, we as programmers are hired to save time, right? So that we can provide better solutions, so that we can provide solutions which act faster, which work faster. And as a programmer, if we have to do something 100 times, that just doesn't make any sense, right? So this is very time taking. And this is not a programmer's way of doing things, right? So just by looking at it, just by looking at this approach of having to write something 100 times, you can reject it. Okay, you can say that something is fishy here, something is wrong here. If I, as a programmer, have to write something 100 times, that just doesn't add up, right? ये बहुत sense नहीं बना रही है ये बात. Okay, so first problem here is that this process will become very time taking. Okay, and we are simply not going to do it that way. And what is the second problem? What is the second? There's one more problem here, right? I ask you to print it 10 times. In that case, it's very easy. You can simply count it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and you can be done with it. Okay, I have printed it 10 times. But now, if I ask you to print it 100 times or 1,000 times, in that case, it's very highly likely, it's very much possible that you print it 97 times or maybe 101 times. You know, those kind of mistakes can be made. So, are you all on the same page so far? So, we can make mistakes. So, again, it is what? Error prone. Error prone basically means that it is very highly likely, it is very much possible that our code will produce wrong output. We will make some mistake in doing this code, in writing this code. Okay. So far, are we all on the same page? I'm not taking a poll for this. I'm just expecting an answer in the chat. Are we all able to understand it so far? If I ask you to print something on the screen 100 times, and what you keep doing is console.log hello world 1, console.log hello world 2 times, and you keep repeating this process for 100 times, it is very highly likely that you make a mistake there, that you only print it maybe 99 times or maybe 110 times. That could happen. You are a human being only. You can make mistake if the process is so tedious, if the process is so lengthy in itself. सही लग रहा है ना, मतलब it's very highly likely that we will make mistake. What do you guys think? बताओ. Just let me know. All I am asking here is, do you guys relate to these problems? That yes, it is time taking and it is very error prone. It's very difficult if we keep doing it this way. Just keep writing everything, as many number of times as being asked. So I think all of you can understand that this is a very lengthy and very non-programmer way of doing things. If someone does not know programming, that is different altogether. Like, that is a very different case. They can keep doing it this way. But we as programmers, we are not supposed to do it this way, right? So, yeah. Okay. So are we all able to understand the problems here, the challenges here? Because if we are able to understand these problems, these are the issues, these are the problems. These are the problems with this approach. What is the approach? Printing something 100 times, so you are writing it 100 times, right? So as a programmer, always remember this principle, DRY. You can call it dry or you can just call it DRY, which basically means do not repeat yourself. If you're writing a piece of code once, you don't have to write it again and again and again. So do not repeat yourself. Your job is to make processes more efficient, more, faster. So you as a programmer are not supposed to do this manual work of writing something, 100 times or maybe 999 times or maybe 10,000 times. That is simply not possible. That is not why people pay you lakhs of money. Okay. So what is the smarter way of doing it? If I still ask you to print it 100 times and I want you to do it, what is the solution that we can implement here and we can achieve the same results without having to write console.log 100 times? So what will come to our rescue? What will help us? What will solve our problem of printing something repeatedly or doing something repeatedly? Loops are going to help us, right? So loops are the answer for this problem that we are encountering. So I guess from the word itself, you can understand loop, right? Something that is going to keep happening, something that is going to keep repeating itself, right? A very simple example that all of us will relate to is when we really like a song, right? Let's say you use Spotify or I use YouTube Music, right? So when we really like a song, what do we do with it? We start listening to it on loop. What does it mean? As soon as the song will end, it will start again and it will play completely and it will start again and it will play completely and it will start again. So this thing kind of goes on in a cycle until you stop the loop. right? That is what happens. I think all of us have done that, right? Whenever we have a very good song, whenever we like a song very much, what do? We start listening to it on loop. Okay, so what does that mean? Listening to something on loop. So we are listening to it repeatedly, unless we just stop it, or we just basically unselect the loop button. So are we all familiar with that example? That is the same thing that we are going to do here in case of programming. So we are going to tell the loop that, okay, guy, bro, I want to do it, let's say 10 number of times, or I want to do this particular piece of work 100 number of times. Okay, and just do it for me. Okay, that is what we are going to say to our loops. Okay, and what is going to happen as a result of that? Once we ask a loop to do something repeatedly for us, it's going to do that. So we just have to tell it what we want to repeat, and the loop is automatically going to do it as many number of times as you want it to do, right? So if I just take my example, the one that I was giving before, I want to print hello world 100 times. So what I am going to do is, I am going to print hello world. I am going to write the logic once. I'm going to write this logic once, and what I'm going to say is, okay, loop, now do this thing 100 times for me, right? Now do this thing 100 times for me, and loop is going to do it 100 times. I am only going to write it once, but the loop is going to run 100 times and print this particular line, or execute this particular line 100 number of times, right? That is what it is going to do. How do we use loops? What are the different kind of loops, and how do we actually write the code for that? That is a different affair, and we will look at it in just a few minutes. But are we able to understand why we need loops in the first place, and what are loops, right? So are we able to understand those basic things? So I'm just going to launch a poll here. So for people who are joining in for the first time, whenever I explain a concept, I launch a poll after that, right? In this poll, you can click on yes, or you can click on no. If you are clear with the explanation, you can click on yes, so that I can understand that, and I can move on to the further topics. We can proceed with the class. And if you are not clear, I can repeat the concept so that all of you are clear with it. So that's the strategy that we follow, that unless most of you are clear with some particular topic, I am not going to proceed further. Okay, that's the approach that we follow. Let me just have a look at the chat. Are very nice, Shivangi. Yes, I saw that you have given an example. Now that's perfectly fine. There is a loop like that. Okay, so let me just drink water. I see some questions also. Okay, chat is now enabled. Yes, classes run daily, Rishi. We have the classes daily. Acha. Okay, so I can see that 93% of you are clear. 3-4 people are still not clear. But for those 3-4 people, when I'm going to explain it further, you will get more clarity. Okay. So far, like what I would expect you to understand is, if the whole discussion was not very much clear, the only thing that I've said here is, if I want to do something multiple number of times, right? For example, you want to listen to a song once, just play it. When it ends, you are done. When it ends permanently, and you can just move on to another song, or maybe just stop listening to songs and move on to doing something else entirely. Now the other scenario is, you like the song so much, you like the song very much, so what you're going to do is, you would want to listen to it multiple times, right? So what you do is, in case of a song, if I take the example of a song, all the music streaming applications, be it your Spotify, YouTube Music, Prime Music, or Ghana, Wing, all those you can say applications, they provide you the option of using loop, which basically means you want to listen to this song multiple times in repetition. In the same way, just as you have loops there, right? Just as you listen to a song on loop there, in the same way we have loop in programming also. If we want to do something multiple times, that is all. Now, I have not explained how we will use it in programming. That is what I'm going to do in the next step. Okay. So if we are all clear, which I can see most of you are, now let us understand what are the different options of loops provided to us by JavaScript, and how we can use those loops in programming. Okay, now comes the interesting part. So this was just an introduction. I was just trying to explain to you why we need loops and what are loops. Now we will actually see how we can start using loops. Okay, so let's just go ahead with that. Let's just see how we are going to use loops. Okay, so what we see here is what we can first discuss is primarily we are going to discuss two type of loops, right? Primarily we are going to discuss two type of loops which are provided to us by the programming language JavaScript. There are other kind of loops as well, but because it's our first class, we are only going, and we only have limited days, right? You all know that we have a limited time together, like 6 more days only. Okay, so we are going to stick to the important, or you can say the most fundamental topics, so that you have clarity in those, and then you can move on to further topics, right? So it's not our intention to learn everything in one day, right? So we are going to move slowly and steadily. So that's why we are only going to discuss two important type of loops in today's class. What are those two types of loops? One is called as a for loop and the other is called as a while loop. Okay, so one by one, we are going to see how we can use each of these loops and use them to repeat one action multiple times, or maybe do something else entirely. Okay, so mostly do something else to carry. Matlab, loops can only help you do something multiple times. So that's what we are going to do. So first, let us get started with the for loop. Right? Now we know what loops are. We also understand the more important point, which is why we need loops. So let's just see how loop is going to help us. First, we are going to see for loop. So let's just see how for loop is going to help us with our problem. What was our initial problem? We wanted to print something 100 times, right? We wanted to print hello world 100 times, and we are going to see how for loop will help us in doing that, right? So as you know, before we start studying anything, the first thing that we understand about a particular topic is the syntax, right? So, okay, it's fine. JavaScript offers us for loop, but the point is, how are we going to use it, right? And before I move on and tell you the syntax for this, again, the good news, just as you have for loop and while loop in JavaScript, you have for loop and while loop in all the other programming languages. C, C++, Java, Python, X, Y, Z. You have for loop and while loop in all the other programming languages as well. So that's a very good news, right? Because we are studying it in one language, because we can only study in one language, right? Can't teach all the languages in one class, but just focus on the logic. That is the most important point. Language is secondary. We are studying it in JavaScript, but the same concept can be applied in all the other programming languages. So that's a good news that we have here. Okay, now what is the syntax for using a for loop? Let me tell you, right? So first you write the keyword for. You write the word for, then you give these round brackets. I will tell you what we will keep inside of these round brackets. That is the most important part. And then you give these curly brackets. After studying conditional statements yesterday, now you know what these curly brackets stand for, right? So for people who are joining in for the first time, very easy, right? These curly brackets denote a particular block of code, right? So these curly brackets that you see, they denote a particular block of code, right? So they denote the for loop block. Right? So when you have the opening curly bracket, that means what? Starting of the code block. And when you see these closing brackets, that means what? Ending of the code block. Right? That is what these brackets stand for, right? Opening bracket stands for the starting of the block. Closing bracket, obviously, as the name suggests, denote the closing or the ending of a particular block. So my point that we have to focus on here is whatever you keep inside of these brackets, that will be considered as a part of the for loop, right? That will be considered as a part of the for loop. So whatever you write here will be repeated in loop. Okay, whatever you write here will be executed multiple times by the for loop with the help of the for loop. Okay, so let me now go ahead and tell you what is going to come inside of these brackets, right? This is the most important point of a for loop. This is the most important point of the for loop, right? So understand carefully, and it's all very easy. And once we code it, once we actually go ahead and see the code, how it looks like, it's going to become even more easier. Okay, so let's just have a look here. So the first thing that we mention in the for loop brackets is the we declare and give the initial value to the counter variable, right? So we declare and initialize the counter variable. So I'm sure you're all confused. What is declare? What is initialize? What is counter variable? I'll tell that one by one. So counter variable, as the name suggests, this is the variable which is going to help us determine. So in the loop discussion, what you must have observed so far was we want to do something multiple times. That is clear to all of us. But in those multiple times also, it is important for us to understand how many times do we need to repeat something, right? How many times are we going to do that? Okay, it's a loop. We will do it multiple times. But what is this multiple times? Is it 5 times? Is it 50 times? Is it 500 times? What is the answer? So counter variable is the one which is responsible for telling that to us. Okay. So what we are going to do is we are going to declare it here. What is the meaning of declaration? So we are telling the program, we are telling we are telling the computer with the help of JavaScript that brother, this is the variable we want to use. This is the name of the variable. So just remember it. Okay. So if I say let I, I am declaring, right? So if I say this in Hindi, ऐलान कर रहे हैं हम लोग, right? We are making an announcement to the program that I will be using the variable I in my code. So this is the declaration part. We are making an announcement. And what is the initialize part? What does this word mean? It means giving an initial value, right? So when your loop starts, what should be the value that this particular variable have, right? So this is the part where we give the declaration and the initialization for the counter variable, right? So once this part is done, we we separate it from the other parts, or before we write the other parts, we write a semicolon here, which means that okay, we have declared and we have initialized our variable. Now let's move on to the other section. So what do we do in the second section? We mention the, let me just write it here only. We mention the condition. So as I told you, right, before you enter a particular loop, you will have to cross a condition. You will have to pass a condition, right? So this condition is going to determine whether you will get entry to this for loop or you won't get entry to this for loop, right? This is the condition that determines whether you are going to get the entry or you are not going to get the entry. Okay, is it clear? This once we see an example, it will be crystal clear. But right now, just understand it from an overview perspective. Just take an overall understanding of these things. So before you enter the for loop, this condition will be checked. If the condition passes, you will be allowed entry inside the for loop, just as we had in the if statement yesterday. If the condition is failed, if the condition says, okay, I will not allow you inside the for loop, I will not let you go inside the for loop, then sadly, you are going to come outside the for loop. You are going to come outside the for loop. Okay. So this condition is like a gatekeeper. Like that's how I visualize it. Okay. If this condition gives you a thumbs up, if this condition allows you, you will get entry inside the for loop and you will execute that particular code. But if this condition says, no, I will not allow any entry to you, you are simply going to get outside the for loop. That's all, right? You are simply going to, come here outside the for loop and execute whatever remaining code is there, right? That's the simple thing that's going to happen. Now what? In here, what are you going to do? So now there is a third department as well. What do you do here? So here, you play with the counter variable, right? Or you update the value. of the counter variable. You update the value of the counter variable. Okay, so what do you do in all these three things? Once I take an example, it will be 100% clear, but I'm just, as you know, as an instructor, as a teacher, it's my responsibility to tell you 100% theory also, right? So this is the syntax. Okay, this is what each of these segments mean, right? So you have the first segment where you will tell the for loop that this is the counter variable, this should be the initial value. This is the second part, you can say, where you will mention the condition which is going to act as a gatekeeper. If the condition is true, you will get entry. If the condition is false, you will be thrown outside. And this is the third part where you will update, or where you will, some people also say manipulate, right? So manipulation just means changing the value or updating the value. That's why I've used the easier word here, update the value, right? So you will change the value of your counter variable there. Okay, so now what we are going to do is we are going to see an example of this particular thing. We are going to see how a particular for loop is actually written with a real example and how it actually executes, right? So let's just get ready for that, and let's just move on to the next portion and see a real example of a for loop, right? So once I give you this real example, I am going to tell you how the for loop works, and then I'm going to stop for doubts if you have any, which I'm sure you might be having some of the other doubts, right? But if you're having doubts right now, with the help of this explanation that I'm going to give, it will all get very clear. So focus now. This is the easier part. Okay. So now let's write an actual for loop. Okay. Actual for loop. And let's say the problem is print hello world 5 times. I'm writing a for loop which will print hello world 5 times. You don't know whether it will do it or not, but I will execute it in front of you and I will help you understand how it is printing the hello world 5 times. Okay. So let's just have a look here. So for let I is equal to 1, I less than or equal to 5, I is equal to I plus 1. Might not make a lot of sense, but just try relating it with the syntax that you have seen, right? Just take a screenshot of this one and keep it handy with you, keep it side by side, and see how each of these things make sense, right? So if the syntax is correct, which obviously it is, what is this part? This is the declaration and initialization part. This is the condition part. And this is the variable manipulation part, or variable updating part, where I'm updating the value of this variable, right? Now what? As I told you, we are going to declare, or you can say we are going to, create a block for this for loop. And what am I going to write inside that? Console dot log hello world. Now you guys don't know whether you know what is going to happen, but let me help you understand how a for loop works, and with the help of that, you will be able to determine why the result is coming the way it is coming. Okay, so now let's just have a look at this. Okay, first of all, when we see a for loop, so you know how we have been coding so far. We go to each and every line, we see what it does, and we just see that result printing on the screen. We just see that happening. Okay, that is what we are going to do here also. We are just going to come to this for loop, and we are going to see how are we supposed to move on from here. We are going to see how we can move on from here. So let's just see. Once you arrive at the for loop, what do? What is the first thing where you go? This is the first place where you go. This is the first place where you go. I is equal to 1. So you come here, and what do you, like, how can you visualize it? You see a variable, which you can visualize it like a container, as I have been telling you since day one, right? You see this variable with the initial value 1. That is all you see. Now, as a second step, where do you go? You know that, okay, the value of I has been written as 1. So I has the value 1. It's fine. Now, where should I go? What should be my next steps? This is where I will come. Because before you want to enter the for loop, you will have to pass through this condition. You will have to take permission from this condition. If this condition is true, only then you will be allowed entry inside the for loop, right? So this condition is the most important part here, right? So now you see, okay, the value inside of I is 1. Now, if I pass the condition, I will get inside the for loop and I will execute whatever lines are written there. I will execute whatever lines are written there. right? So what are we going to do now? Let's see. I is equal to 1. We saw that. Now what? I is less than or equal to 5. Okay. So what is going to happen? I, which is 1, less than equal to 5. So how will this condition evaluate? So what it currently means is 1 less than equal to 5. How will this condition evaluate? So I have told you yesterday only 1 less than equal to 5. What you are going to ask yourself is it true? Is 1 less than or equal to 5? So tell me, is 1 less than or equal to 5? It's very simple, right? Even people who don't know P of programming can answer this, because this is class 3rd mathematics, right? Very beautiful. Okay, Rashmita has sent me a code. Exactly, that's exactly how it's going to work, Rashmita. Very nice, very nice. Okay. Sonal had to leave. It's fine. अरे बहुत बढ़िया. Ramchandu has given a very beautiful like explanation of for loop. Very nice. Ramchandu, I told you, right? If you use const, you will not be able to change the value. So don't use const here. True, right? Patnala says obviously it's true, because see, 1 is smaller, 5 is bigger. So 1 is less than or equal to 5. So this will evaluate to true. What does it mean? It means it is good news for us and we will get entry inside of the for loop, right? Because the current value in I is 1, we will get entry inside the for loop. And once we get entry inside the for loop, what do we have to do? So this is the third step, right? The third step is to actually come inside the for loop and execute all the lines that are present inside the for loop. Execute all the lines that are present inside the for loop, right? That's what we are going to do now. So console.log hello world. There's only one line of code which we have written inside of our for loop, because we are beginners, right? We are just getting started. So to keep it simple, there's only one line inside the for loop. Console.log hello world. So what are we going to do? We are going to execute that. And what will happen as a result of that execution? So let me just keep maintaining the output here. So what will happen? Console.log hello world. Tell me. I don't know. What happens if I execute this line? Console.log hello world. Jaldi batao. Tell me. What will happen? No, Sayed, don't worry about how many times it will happen. What will happen once you see this line? We are not supposed to, stress ourselves. Only tell me what is going to happen because of this line. Don't worry whether it will happen 5 times, 2 times, 20 times. What happens if I see the line console.log hello world? So far, now, we have been using console.log. What happens? It prints on the screen. That is the answer I was expecting, right? So when you use console.log, exactly, Padma, very nice, right? So what happens? It will, Aishwarya, don't worry about that. 5 times, 50 times, that is not our concern as of now. We are not going to predict it as of now. We are only interested in moving step by step. So what is going to happen as a result of this line? Hello world will be printed on the screen. Hello world will be printed on the screen. So let's print that, right? Let's print hello world. Let's print hello world. Why is it going to get printed 5 times? I am only seeing this line 1 time. I will only execute it 1 time. So it's only going to get printed 1 time, right? So it's not going to happen 5 times. Let's wait and watch. Why? Like how it's, even if it's going to print it 5 times, how it's going to happen. So let's move step by step, right? And sorry for deviating, but there is one important point I want to mention. This is where you need to stop, right? So as beginners, we are very much excited to do everything in a very fast manner, but there is no need to do that, right? We have waited, some of you have waited 4 years, 3 years, maybe 1 year, or maybe you have not waited, you have just started coding. So we have been postponing coding for a very long time now, right? Now that we are starting, there is no rush. We will take our time. Okay. So as a beginner, this is my advice to all of you, because this is something that I have seen with 100% of my students. This is the mistake that every beginner makes, including me. We are so excited. That's a good thing, right? But we are so excited that we then start committing mistakes. Okay, that's why I'm very happy that you are excited, but we are going to move step by step. There is no rush. We are seeing the statement once, so we will print the statement once. We are not going to overthink here, right? Console.log hello world, it is going to print it once. That's all, end of story. Now what? Now what do we do? Once we are done with the execution of the for loop, where we only had one line of code, we move to the manipulation or the update portion, right? This is the fourth step. This is where we will come. Now, what do we see here? Very crucial, right? Very important step. I is equal to I plus 1. I is equal to I plus 1. So whenever we see a statement like this, first we evaluate this portion. What is I plus 1? So currently I is 1. I plus 1 will become 1 plus 1. So it will become 2. So what is the new value that we will store in the variable I? 2. Okay. So what is this going to become? It is going to become 2. So let me just write it properly. So we are going to have, so let me cut it and write it so that you know that earlier it was 1 and now it got updated to 2. So it was 1, but now it will be updated to 2. Okay. So this is the fourth step. This is the fourth step that we see. Now what? Now the loop thing is going to happen. Now the most interesting part is going to uncover. So now let's see what's going to happen. So we have made this change. We have updated the value of I. Now what? We will again go to this condition, right? We will again go to this condition. What do we see now? Again, the condition is still the same. I is less than or equal to 5. But this time the value of I has updated and it has become 2. So now the question that you need to ask yourself is 2 less than or equal to 5? Is I still less than or equal to 5? Tell me. I don't know if 2 is less than or equal to 5. You guys have to help me out. Let me just... Yeah. Ram, is it fine now? Yeah, it's less than, right? Condition satisfied. So we are happy, right? So 2 is also less than or equal to 5. So again, true. So the condition will allow you to get inside. And now I think it will become easier for you to visualize. So this is the next step where you go to. Now you get entry inside the for loop. And I think you can easily tell me what we have to do once we enter the for loop. Once you get entry to the for loop, you are supposed to execute each and every line inside the for loop. So what do we see here? Only one thing, the same thing, right? Console.log hello world. Console.log hello world. This is the same line that we saw the last time. And we know what this line does. It will print hello world on the screen only once. Don't overthink. We will move step by step. It will print hello world on the screen once, right? Let's do that. Let's go step by step. So now, because we have entered inside the for loop, we will print hello world on the screen. So let's print hello world on the screen. Hello world, right? Now where do we go? Where do we go from here? Once we have executed the statements inside the for loop, we will again go back to the condition, the updating part, right? And what do we see there? I is equal to I plus 1. So what will we see now? I is equal to I, which is 2 now, plus 1. So I will become what? You can see here, 3. So from 2, it will get updated to 3. Right? From 2, it will get updated to 3. And now all of you know what is our next step. We will come and check this condition. So now the condition becomes, last time it was 2, this time the condition becomes 3 less than or equal to 5. Tell me again, is 3 also less than or equal to 5? Is very good, Shoaib. Nice, nice, nice. Is 3 less than or equal to 5? Yes, 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 definitely. Very nice. Now you guys are also enjoying, I guess. Right? You guys are also getting like a hold of it. Very nice. Condition satisfied, right? So we can move on. So what do we do when we move on? Condition is true. So we will get entry inside the for loop. We will enter inside this particular for loop. And now what? Once we enter this for loop, what do? We execute the lines that are written there. Now it's getting boring, right? So even you would want me to move faster. And yes, exactly. Once we get entry inside the for loop, we just execute whatever is written there. So that's what we are going to do. Console.log hello world. So hello world. No need to overthink. Just execute this line. Now what? I guess now I can just increase the speed a little bit. Now we will again come to this update part. I is equal to I plus 1. So what is the value of I? 3 plus 1, right? I is 3 and plus 1. So what will be the new value inside of I? 4. Then we will go ahead and check this condition. The condition says I less than or equal to 5. So this time the value of I is what? 4. Is 4 less than or equal to 5? I'm not going to bore you now. Yes, it is. 4 is smaller, 5 is greater. So yes, 4 is less than or equal to 5. So again, it's true. Again, we will get entry inside the for loop. And now what are we going to do? Once you get entry inside the for loop, so do you see? If you observe the past 5 minutes, I am repeating myself. After every 1 minute of explanation, I am repeating myself. So far, I have said it for the fourth time. We will execute whatever is written inside the for loop. I am saying it for the fourth time now. So do you see I am repeating myself? Because I am explaining the for loop, whose job is to repeat things, right? So all of this would make much more sense now, right? Because we are seeing an example. So now what? We are getting entry inside the for loop and we are going to print this statement because console.log will print the particular statement, right? So we are going to print hello world once more. Hello world, right? Right? Now what? Again, it's very redundant now. It's very easy, but also a little bit boring for those of you who have already gotten understood it. But just 1-2 more times, and you will see. We are going to the time is near. We are going to exit this for loop very soon. Okay, I is equal to I plus 1. I guess now you can very easily understand what is happening. Each time I'm increasing the value by 1. So now it's going to become 5. Okay, and now the comparison is going to be 5 is less than or equal to 5. 5 is less than or equal to 5. Some of you might get a little confused here, but let me just clear out that confusion. So, bhai log, 5 is not less than 5, but just look at this particular operator. It says less than or equal to. So, whether it is less than 5 or it is equal to 5, in both the cases, I am going to give true. That is what this operator means, right? So, even for 5, even when I is equal to 5, we are going to get the output of the condition as true. So what's going to happen? Again, we are going to get entry inside the for loop. And now I am getting bored. What do we do when we get inside the for loop or any other loop? We execute those statements. We only have one statement, that is console.log hello world. So let's just quickly print it, right? Hello world. Now what? We are going to go here. We are going to go here. We are going to update the value. The value of I will become 6 now. The value of I will become 6. We are going to go and check this condition. What will the condition become? 6 less than or equal to 5. Is it still true? Is 6 less than or equal to 5? Sorry, guys. False. 6 is purely greater than 5. No exception. 6 is purely greater, right? So now, sadly, the condition will evaluate to false. And what will happen? So if you go to someone's house and they just shut the door on your face, what will you do? You will get out. You will basically stay out, right? That's what you will do. So that's what we are going to do as well. Because the condition will now deny us to get inside the for loop. So we will, once the condition fails, we will get outside the for loop. We will move beyond the for loop. Okay, okay. If you are not interested in letting me in, I am also not interested. I am moving on. Okay, that's what we will say. Okay, so if the condition will not let you pass, you are going to end up outside the for loop. Okay, let's just have a look at the output that we have seen, right? How many times do we see the hello world here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So do you see how many times was this loop executed? How many times was this loop iterated? How many times was this loop run? 5 times. Okay, that's why I said, now if I ask you to print it 1 crore times, a crore has 7 zeros after one, like just for your information. If I ask you to print it for 1 crore times, then also you would not have any issue, right? Okay, instead of 5, I will just cut 5, I will write 1 crore there and I'm good to go, right? So that is why. Do you see how powerful this instrument is? Do you see how powerful loops are? If you want to do something 2 times, then also it will help you. If you want to do something 500 times, then also it will help you, right? So if we understand loops correctly, and that is why I did this particular this whole operation, so that you understand it properly, right? So I'm just going to take a poll and just tell me if you are 1000% crystal clear with this particular concept of how this for loop was running and how we got the result as 5 times. Okay, let me just go through the chat once. It should print 4 times as first. It will start from 2. Zafrul, I did the whole thing in front of you. It will not start from 2. It will start from 1 only, right? Sayed, map also does a similar thing, but loop is more fundamental. I mean, that's the only thing that I can say as of now, right? But yeah, map mostly will not be able to see within the scope of this, this boot camp that we have, because it is a very important and fundamental tool in JavaScript. But again, it's slightly more complicated. So we'll just skip that for now. We will see it in the main course once we complete once we cover the whole JavaScript, like where we cover the whole JavaScript. This is only for introduction purpose. So as a beginner, we are not going to step into that. Okay. Are very nice. Well, there is one person who has a doubt, but 97% of you are clear, which is a very good percentage. Let me tell you, I have taught a lot of people. This is a very easy concept. Yes, I agree, but still people have doubt. So the fact that you don't have any doubt is very, very impressive, right? I'm in fact, I'm going to take a screenshot of this one. This is very, very nice result, right? 98%. And for the time when we are explaining for loop, right? So people do have doubt here, but still you guys don't. That's very good for you and for me also. Okay. Acha. Someone was asking me to scroll up the screen. Don't worry, guys. For those of you who are worried that this seems informative and I want to capture it, very good. You can keep writing it, but also I am going to provide the notes for everything. So just to make you comfortable with it. See, I'm logging everything. See, your notes are already ready. Your notes are already prepared. Okay. You don't have to worry at all. It contains all the information till yesterday's class. Okay. We are going to compile it properly and hand it over to you. You can see 21st November, yesterday's class. So everything is properly documented. So it will be shared with you very soon. Okay. Don't worry at all. Right? Okay. In some cases, data may get replaced. Acha, Padma, I got your question. Coming to that. Okay. So now there is this very good question. Let me go to JavaScript and let's just. Okay. So what we are going to do here is, yeah. So for now, you don't have to worry about these details, right? These small things that I keep doing. We will only focus on the main concept that we are studying, right? Which is the concept of loops. Okay. Write your code here and print the required output, right? That is what we are going to focus on. So let's have a look at this question, right? First of all, what I'm going to show you is the same thing that we did here. The same thing that we did here. I'm just going to give you a demonstration of that. I'm just going to prove to you that it works, right? So for let I is equal to 0, I is less than equal to 5, I is equal to I plus 1. And then what? Console.log. Oh, hello world, right? Let's just run our code and you will see. Sorry. When I was demonstrating it, I started I from 1. That is why. So by mistake, okay, I'll come to that. This is the exact code that we were seeing. This is the exact code that we were having, right? I is equal to 1, I less than equal to 5, I is equal to I plus 1, right? This is the exact code that we were seeing. And how many times is it printing hello world? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So before coming here, I made a small change. By mistake, I wrote 0 here. And as a result, what happened? What got printed on the screen? You will see. Hello world only, but how many times? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 times. Okay. So can anyone tell me why are we having hello world printed 6 times here? And this is where your answer lies. This is the only change that I made. So this is where the answer lies. Okay. Very beautiful. Padma has answered it in a very simple way. She's saying, sir, last time we printed the result for values of I is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because the condition is the same and we are starting from 0, which is one value lesser. So we are also going to print it for I is equal to 0. And as a result of that, what is going to happen? We are going to execute the code for these many different values of I. How many different values are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that is why we are seeing the result getting printed 6 number of times, right? So this is a very simple but important point. So by mistake, we also got a flavor of that as well, right? Let me just clear it all. Acha, right? So what do we see here? Hello world getting printed 5 times, right? Let me just refresh this whole thing. Okay, right. Now what do we see? We have a fresh question in front of us. Let me just go through the Q&A ones. I see a lot of questions. Can we use another key? Okay. Ravi is asking, sir, instead of I, can I use something else? Can I maybe use J? Yes, Ravi, you can definitely do that. I is just a variable. I am using I here because, it is my habit. Whenever I write a for loop, it automatically happens that I write I here. It happens automatically because everywhere I have read from, every time I have practiced it, I use I only. Right. So that is why I'm using I here as well. Right. And that is why most of you are going to do the same. But yeah, for the sake of explanation, you can write anything here. Right. So as I tell you, it's just a variable, right? Let's say you don't like the name I, we call it XYZ. This is our variable name. So XYZ, 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 right? So if now I'm going to run it again, you see, we are going to see the exact same output because what happened? Sorry, I forgot to call it. We are going to see the exact same output. It's going to come. Oh, See, so Ravi is asking, sir, can we use something else in place of I? You have your answer in front of you, Ravi, and that's a very relevant question, right? I should have told you. And yes, you can use anything in place of this particular name. This variable name is immaterial. Anything you want to use, go ahead and use it. Okay. Right. Okay. Very nice. Very nice. Acha, a lot of you answered. Shantala, प्रसन्न कुमार, शोएब, तुम लोग तो यार बहुत स्मार्ट लोग हो यार. वेरी नाइस, वेरी गुड. ओके, Ravi has got it. Okay. Yeah. I guess we're good to go. I have seen the messages also. Cool then. Right. So, guys, for now, as I was telling you earlier as well, ignore these things that I keep doing, right? Ignore the extra things that that you are seeing on the screen. Only focus on what is relevant for now. Because in day after tomorrow's class, on 24th, we are going to learn a concept called as functions. There I will tell you everything, but for now, don't take the stress of anything. Just read this comment, write your code here, and just write your code there. That is all you have to do. Okay. Don't worry about anything else at all. Okay. Now let's have a look at this question. Print 1 to 10. Print 1 to 10. That is the question. Print 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That is the question. That is literally the question. You can see this is the output. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So what can we do for that? So first of all, let me just write the first thing that is coming to my mind. Okay, let me just write the first thing that's coming to my mind. Okay. So the first thing that's coming to my mind is console.log 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, the first thing that's coming to my mind is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This way also I can get the job done, right? This way also I can get the job done, and I will also prove it to you by submitting it and getting full marks for this, right? See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10. I am also going to submit it and prove to you that obviously this is going to work, because this time, see, we have a very basic requirement, but I guess you will not like this solution, because I have told you, if we want to do the same thing, we are going to use a smarter way. We are going to use a programmer's way of doing that, and not do it in this like this absurd way, this non-programmer way, right? So this is what we want to achieve, right? And I just proved it to you. This is where we want to reach. But the question is, or what I want you to notice here is, see guys, console.log this. In all these 10 lines of code, I am doing the same thing only, right? Only what is changing? The value that is printing inside. First it is 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, then 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The value inside of it is changing. Okay. Can I mean, it's not necessary that you will always use a loop in any problem that you see. But my question is, can I use a loop here? And if so, if I can use a loop, how can I do that? Okay. And to give you a hint regarding that, I will take you to the previous for loop that we had, right? Let me just get it from here. Just a second. Yeah, let me just get it from here. A second, let me take the I one. Yeah, so let me just take this whole thing. Okay. I guess all of you can see it now. Yeah, I hope all of you can see it. Acha. So what is happening here? What is happening here? I don't want you to focus on hello world for a second. Ignore it. I want you to focus on something else. Just notice how the value of I is changing, right? First of all, it starts with the value 1. This is where it starts. Then what happens? It starts with 1. Then what happens? I change it and I update it to 2. Right? I change it and I update it to 2. Then what was happening? 3. Then what was happening? 4. And this is what was happening. And corresponding to each value of I, what else was happening? Ye to theek hai. The value of I kept changing. So once I entered the for loop, when the value of I was 1. Then I again entered the for loop when the value of I was 2. Then I again entered the for loop when the value of I was 3. So tell me, what would have happened if instead of printing hello world, I had printed the value of I only? Right? Each time I'm getting inside, I will not print hello world. This time I will print I. Right? So let's do that. I'm commenting this portion. Right? I'm commenting this portion. You know what happens when I comment something. It will be written on the screen. You can see it, but that line will not be executed by the computer. Right? So what do I want to do now? This time, instead of hello world, I want to print I. I want to print I, and let's just see what happens. Let's see what happens if I print I here. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What is happening? We enter the for loop for I is equal to 1. And what is written inside? Console.log I. Just log the value of I. Just print the value of I, which is 1 initially. Then I again enter the for loop and the value 2 gets printed. Then I again enter the for loop and the value 3 gets printed. Then 4, then 5. And then you know what happens. I becomes 6. And because the condition here is 5, we exit the for loop. Right? So what will happen if I write 6 here? The for loop will run for one extra iteration. Right? For these values of I, it will definitely run. Also, it will run if I becomes 6 also. Right? So if I just run the code once again, you will see what is going to happen. 6. So I guess now you are able to guess the solution here. What will happen if I move till the value of I becomes 10? Now if I run this code, what is going to happen? Right? So instead of printing hello world, if I choose to print the value of I, what is going to happen? The value of I is going to get printed, and you are seeing all these values on the screen because we are printing when the value of I is 1, then also we are printing when it becomes 2, then also we are printing again when it becomes 3, and we keep doing this. Right? We keep printing the value of I for these different ranges, right? For these different values. So long story short, for each value of I am getting inside, and instead of printing hello world, I am printing that value of I. Okay, and that is why you see this on the screen. And just to demonstrate it to you, I can just submit it and you will see. See, right? So let me just do one thing here. Let me, yeah, I guess this is the first code that we saw, right? So let me just put it in the document that I showed you. So that, later on when I share the notes with you, it would be more convenient for you guys. And only the relevant portion. Yeah. But now, where were we? Yeah. If I talk about the, sorry. Oh, we have lost the console.log where I printed it 10 times. Let me just do it. Let me just do it. So what I was doing was console.log 1 and then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And this is the smarter way of doing the same thing, right? Right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. So this is the dumb way to do it. And this is the smarter way, right? Again, we are going to move on. We are going to see more questions, but are we absolutely 100% crystal clear with this approach, with this thing that we have seen? Launching a poll for this, just tell me, just let me know. And for those of you who are joining in for the first time, let's say you will say, sir, I'm not crystal clear, but 80% of what you are saying is clear to me. So to get more crystal clarity, two suggestions. First is that when I will leave the class, at 10 p.m. Hemant sir is going to join for clearing out your doubts. That is first thing. Second thing is you have the code, you have seen the code, you have the lecture recordings. Go ahead and do it on your own. Because I was telling your friends yesterday, coding is like dancing. If you watch a tutorial on YouTube and you obviously you can understand what they are doing, right? They are moving their legs like this or doing anything. But unless you do it on your own, you can't claim that you know how to dance, right? Similarly, you might be able to understand everything here because I explain everything in such a good way, right? But that does not mean that you are absolutely clear, right? So to make it more meaningful, right? To make your time more worthwhile, do all these things on your own as well, right? And how will you do that? Just log into the pre-course, right? I always keep telling you. So just log into this one. And how to log in? Just a second. Na? Write your number and you will receive an OTP. Just get inside. There is no hard and there's no tough way to do it. That is the only thing you have to do. And then you will also see a portal like this. And where will you have to go? Go here. And where are we currently? Again, only one student has doubt. I'm not saying that we can just leave that one student alone. But what I'm happy about is that only one student has a doubt, right? And let me show to you. I'm not lying. See, these are the poll results. Very good set of people we are having tonight. I'm having fun. It's really good to see that people are able to understand what you are teaching. That is why we teach, right? Acha, let me just have a look at the Q&A also. I see some. Ravi, you can use that also. I just saw your question. You can use double inverted commas as well. It's up to you. Whatever you want. Right? So just log into this. And what we are currently studying is, see, intro plus print statements we have done, variables we have seen, conditionals we have seen yesterday, loops, right? And we are solving different questions now, right? So that's what we are doing. This is how you will get access to these questions. If you want to see the recorded videos, this is where it will come. You see, right now you are seeing the option to join class because our class is going on, right? All the other times you will see the option for recording. Let me show you. See, live class recording. Okay. And just like that, you will be able to see the live class recording, the class that we had yesterday. Okay. So this is how everything goes. See. Just proving to you that it's my recording only, right? So you can see bottle of water alongside you. Same thing I'm saying, just keep a bottle of water with you. So yeah, this is how you will access the recordings. Anyways, let's just move on and see the next set of questions. Yeah, before I tell you other questions, no, there is this one thing that I basically want you to see here. I guess I'll just. Acha. So there is this one very famous question, and before I solve the next for loop question for you, I want you to get introduced with the while loop. Okay, and this is a very famous question, and believe me, although it's very easy, but this question is asked in interviews also. There have been interviews where this question was asked. So obviously, because this is very easy, it is not the only question that was asked in the interview, but I'm just trying to tell you the importance of this question. Right? You are absolute beginners. This is the fourth day in your life of coding, and we are going to see a question that was actually asked in a company interview. So I guess this is a very exciting question for all of you, right? And let's just have a look at this question. And let's do it the other way around. Let's first understand what while loops are and how we can write while loop, and then we are going to see what this question is all about, right? But this is a very interesting, very important question, right? uh, okay, sometimes this happens. Let me just open it once again. Just a second. Right? Yeah. Okay. So let's just understand while loop once. So we have seen for loop so far. While loop is another kind of loop. Let's see how it works. Right? Uh-huh. While loop. Okay. So just as we have for loop, We have while loop also. What is the difference between these two loops? Syntax. The way of writing these two loops is different, but in 99% of the cases, you can solve both the questions. You can solve a question using both the loops. You can solve a problem using both the loops, right? So it's more or less interchangeable. But towards the end of the class, I will tell you what is the speciality of one loop and when is one loop preferred over the other. Okay? Acha. So while loop, you are going to like this loop more because as beginners, we really hate the syntax because JavaScript is new to us, right? It's new to all of us, and we don't like a concept when it has a lot of things to take care of. That's why you're going to like while loop a little bit more, right? So what is the syntax for while loop? While condition and then the block of while loop, right? So this is the while loop body, or this is the while loop block, and that's all it is, right? That's all there is. Okay, so this is the syntax for the while loop. Okay, and what do we see here? Nothing. This is the only thing that we have to write in while loop. Okay, so while loop says till the time this condition is true, till the time this condition is true, get inside, execute the lines, do your job, get out. Right? That is what while loop says. Okay. So you might think, sir, if there is no provision for updating the variable, if there is no provision for declaring the variable, how are we ever going to get inside of this? Because in the for loop, it was very straightforward, right? We are able to get outside of this loop eventually because we are having this line. And what is it doing? It is updating the value of I every time. As a result, the value of I becomes so high that this condition is violated. So how will that happen in a while loop? Don't worry. This statement becomes a part of the while loop body. We do this statement as a part of the steps inside the while loop, right? So as far as the syntax is concerned, it is very simple in case of a while loop, but more or less functionality wise, it also offers you the same thing, which is what? Repetition of activity, repetition of whatever you want to do, right? So just to give you a demonstration of a while loop, let's just handle the same example, printing hello world 5 times using while loop this time. Okay, using while loop. So what we're going to do is while, and as I told you, right, some or the other condition will come here, but let's not focus on that. Let's not focus on that. So what do we want to do inside of the while loop? As I told you, inside of this loop, I want to print hello world. And then in some way or the other, I will determine how many times that this loop should work, how many times this loop should get executed. So that is what I will determine later on. But what is the primary job that I want to do here? Console.log hello world. Console.log hello world, right? This is the primary job that I want to do. Now let us fill in the blanks, right? Now let us fill in the blanks and see how exactly is this loop going to help us achieve the same result as the for loop did, right? In Hindi, ये ठीक है, एक बेसिक स्केलेटन बना लिया है हमने. अब अपने को ये समझना है कि हम लोग ये जो फिल इन द ब्लैंक्स हैं ये कैसे करें कि अपन को सेम आउटपुट आए जो अपन को फॉर लूप में आ रहा था. दैट इज हेलो वर्ल्ड 5 बार प्रिंट हो रहा था, वो चीज हम इसमें कैसे करें, राइट? अब हमें ये देखना है. तो लेट्स गो अहेड, लेट्स सी, राइट? सो व्हाट वी विल डू इज, because we need a variable, see, it is very much known, it is very much confirmed that we need a variable to store the count, to let us know how many times we want to perform an operation, right? So we will have to do something like this step that we were doing as a part of the for loop structure. We are going to do it beforehand, before the while loop starts, right? We will mention the condition here. We just don't know what this condition is, so let's just skip it for a second, right? Alongside this printing, what we also have to do, we have to make sure that this variable is getting updated regularly, right? So what are we going to do to achieve that? I is equal to I plus 1. I is equal to I plus 1. That is what we are going to do here. I is equal to I plus 1. So as a part of this while loop, the variable updation or the updating of the variable is going to happen, right? So if I just show you this whole thing, this whole structure, this is the part where the declaration slash, I should not say slash, and initialization. So you are telling the computer which variable you will use, and you are also telling the initial value, right? So declaration and initialization. This is the updating the counter variable. And this is where our condition will come. And if you guys are thinking what I am thinking, you are absolutely right. I mean, obviously you don't know what I'm thinking, but I'm sure some of you might be thinking that we should write I less than or equal to 5 here. And if you're thinking that, you're absolutely right. And let me show you why. In just a very quick steps, we are going to see why this whole thing is going to produce the same result. Let's just follow this blindly. Let's not use our brains. Let's just execute what this code says. We will not use our brain. We will not try to be over smart. We will just see what is written here and we will just execute that blindly. We will not do anything on our own. Let's see. Okay. So this is the condition. This is the condition. So now what? Let me just write it a little bit, neat, like slightly neatly. So this is the condition. Acha. Now, what do we have? Let me just show you the whole thing, right? The first thing that we see here is I is equal to 0. I is equal to 0 that we saw earlier also. So you make a box. I is equal to, oh, sorry. Let me make it equal to 1. I want to keep everything same as before, right? I is equal to 1. Right? This is the initial value that we see. Now, you check this condition. The logic or the way the condition works is exactly the same as before. You check this condition. If the condition is true, you will get the entry. If the condition is false, you will get out. Right? You will be denied the entry. As simple as that. Right? Now what? Now what will we have to do? I is less than equal to 5. Is this condition true? Because the current value of I is 1. 1 less than or equal to 5. What does it tell us? 1 less than or equal to 5? Yes, it is. 1 is smaller, 5 is larger. So the condition is true. As a result, you will get the entry in the while loop. You will get the entry in the while loop. And once you enter a loop, what do? You execute each and every line in the loop. So let's do that. Let's just do that blindly. Console.log. Yeah, console.log hello world. So let's show the output. Hello world. Hello world, right? And now what? I is equal to I plus 1. Let's do that. I is equal to I plus 1, right? And now what? This loop is a little bit easy to visualize, right? So we are just going to go here, right? We're just not here. Technically, we are going to come here, right? So here, right? Now we are going to check the condition again. So after all these things, is the condition still true? And if the condition is still true, you know what to do, right? It's very simple. The idea is very straightforward. If the condition is true, get inside, do your job. And that is the only thing loop has to say. That is the only thing loop is trying to tell us. If the condition is true, get inside, do your job. That's all. So yes, the condition is true here also. I less than or equal to 5. Now what? Now that I is less than equal to 5. See, I is 2. 2 is also less than equal to 5. You will get inside. And what will you do once you get inside? Print hello world, do this thing. So print hello world, do this thing. I is equal to I plus 1. Done. So now we will come here again. And what is the condition? This thing. Is 3 less than equal to 5? Yes, it is. Get inside, do your job. What is our job? We are supposed to perform these 2 steps. 1, 2. That is a simple job we have to perform. Let's see. Print hello world. Let's print it. Hello world. And then I is equal to I plus 1. I is equal to I plus 1. So for the next iteration, do you see what is happening here? For the next iteration, we prepare the counter variable in the previous iteration only, right? So in the current iteration, you can say in the current iteration, the iteration or the, iteration basically means, so you run the loop multiple times, right? One time, two time, for different values of I, you are running the loop. So each time you are running the loop, it is called as one iteration, right? So if you run it once, that is one iteration. Then you run it again, that is second iteration. So that is just a technical word. So in each iteration, what is happening? You are preparing the value of the counter variable for the next iteration, right? For the next time the value will be checked, you are preparing it for that, right? Now I is equal to 4. Now what? You are again going to come here. I is equal to 4. Now what? The condition will become 4 less than or equal to 5. Is it? Yes. So get inside the loop and do your job. And what is our job? Only two steps: printing hello world and incrementing the value of I. So printing hello world and changing or incrementing or increasing the value of I by 1. So 4 will become 5. Now again the same thing. We will come here once more, right? The condition is I less than equal to 5. So it is 5 less than equal to 5. So what do we see here? In 5 less than or equal to 5, what do we see? It is still true. So get inside, do your job, right? So print hello world and do this thing. Print hello world and do this thing. What is this thing? Incrementing the value of I. Now you will see, right? This is the time where where we are going to get out of this particular while loop. We are going to fail the condition because see, I less than equal to 5 and the value of I becomes, sorry, and the value of I here becomes 6. Now 6 is no longer less than equal to 5. This whole thing will become false. And what? Because this whole thing will become false, you will be thrown out of the while loop. You will be thrown out of the while loop, and it's fine. We knew that one day we are going to be thrown out of the while loop. That is how the loops work. But what have we achieved till the time we were inside the loop or till the time we were allowed inside the loop? We were printing this, and you can again check it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So are you able to comprehend how the while loop is working? More or less in the same way as the for loop was working. It's just that the placement of these things is a little bit different, right? We are preparing our counter variable for the next iteration in the current iteration only, right? So I'm just quickly going to give an overview of this whole thing in Hindi, and then I'm going to launch the poll. People who have understood it or people who speak only English, just wait for 2 minutes. Okay. अच्छा, तो क्या कहानी है यहाँ पे? वाइल लूप में सबसे पहले तो अपन को समझना है कि दिस इज द सिंटैक्स, राइट? ये पूरा सिंटैक्स है, इसके अलावा कुछ नहीं है. तो वाइल लिखेंगे, ब्रैकेट के अंदर कंडीशन डाल देंगे. वो कंडीशन अगर हमें जाने देगी आगे तो अपन लोग वाइल लूप को एग्जीक्यूट कर देंगे अंदर जो भी लिखा होगा. और वो कंडीशन अगर फॉल्स हो जाए तो हम लोग सीधा चुपचाप बाहर आ जाएंगे. अब हम लोग एक एग्जाम्पल के थ्रू इसको समझना चाह रहे हैं. तो एक वेरिएबल ले लिया, उसकी इनिशियल वैल्यू 1 दे दी, जैसे फॉर लूप के टाइम में किया था, राइट? कंडीशन हमने सबसे एंड में डाली थी, अगर आपको याद हो तो. सबसे पहले हमने ये लिखा था कि हमें अंदर क्या करना है. तो एक तो हेलो वर्ल्ड प्रिंट कर देना है अपन को, और दूसरी चीज क्या है? वेरिएबल की वैल्यू इंक्रीमेंट कर रहे हैं अपन, इंक्रीज कर रहे हैं, उसको बढ़ा रहे हैं, ताकि हम लोग जानते हैं ना कभी तो हम चाहते हैं ना कि कंडीशन फॉल्स हो जाए ताकि हम लूप के बाहर निकल पाए, राइट? तो उस चीज के लिए हम लोग इसको प्रिपेयर कर रहे हैं. वन बाय वन इसकी वैल्यू इंक्रीज कर रहे हैं, ताकि जब भी ये 5 से ज्यादा हो जाए अपन चुपचाप बाहर आ पाए, राइट? तो आई इज इक्वल टू आई प्लस 1 कर दिया. पहले अपना मेन काम किया हेलो वर्ल्ड, और फिर आई इज इक्वल टू आई प्लस 1 कर दिया. ये चीज हम फॉर लूप में भी कर रहे थे, बस वो फॉर लूप के स्ट्रक्चर का पार्ट थी, अपन ब्रैकेट में लिख देते थे यहाँ पे. इस बार हम लोग वाइल लूप की बॉडी के अंदर लिख रहे हैं उसको. ये जो अपन ने बाकी लाइंस एग्जीक्यूट करी उसके साथ ही लिख दिया कि अगली इटरेशन के लिए अपन इसको कैसे बढ़ा रहे हैं, राइट? उसका हम लोग फिर से आए, बार बार ये पूरी साइकिल चलेगी जब तक क्या ना हो जाए, जब तक आपकी ये कंडीशन फॉल्स ना हो जाए. जैसे ये कंडीशन फॉल्स होगी, जब तक ये फॉल्स नहीं हो रही थी, अपन ने क्या किया? हर बार अपन अंदर आए और ये दोनों लाइंस को एग्जीक्यूट किया अपन, राइट? कंसोल डॉट लॉग हेलो वर्ल्ड, यानी कि आप हेलो वर्ल्ड को प्रिंट कर दो स्क्रीन पे, और उसके बाद क्या किया? आई इज इक्वल टू आई प्लस 1 कर दिया. ठीक है, ये पूरी कहानी अपन ने बार बार चलाई जब तक हम फेल नहीं हो गए. कहां पे? कंडीशन पे, राइट? सो दिस वाज द होल स्टोरी ऑफ द व्हाइल लूप. आप देख पा रहे होगे that it is very similar to the for loop, right? ये देखो, we have initialized and declared and initialized the variable. This is the condition part of the while loop, and this is the increment वाला part, or the you can decrease the value also, right? यहाँ पे आप value decrease भी कर सकते हो, or you can divide the value, multiply the value, that is up to you. But the point is you are updating the variable in some way, right? So all the things that you had in for loop inside the brackets, you have in the case of while loop also, but in a different way, right? So that is the only change here. The only change here is in the structure. Fundamentally, the same thing is happening, right? So now, having said that and explained all these things, I'm just going to launch the poll once more, and then we are going to go and see the like the main question that I want to discuss here, right? I'm just drinking the water in the meantime. So yeah, Bhagesh, let me know. So this question is, I can see the poll results are good this time as well. Very good to see that. So I'm genuinely asking this question. Are these classes adding some value to your life? Are you able to understand programming now? I mean, is it better in any way as compared to whatever you were doing before? So maybe you must have watched YouTube or maybe some websites or something else. So is it helpful for you? And like you can say yes, you can say no, and you can also tell me if there is any suggestion that you have, right? Ki, sir, okay, everything is fine, but just add this one more thing and it will become even better, right? So just we can just have the next 2 minutes for that. So I just want to know, because it's our fourth day together, right? It's 22. We started on 18th, then we took a break on 19th for the World Cup. So are you satisfied? Are you getting some value? कुछ 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 समझ में आ रहा है आपको? Does it require to declare I as a variable before starting the while loop? So Zafrul, basically you can see that we have a use case, right? There is something that we want to do. Okay, so based on that we are doing it here. In this case, we wanted to print hello world 5 times. So I just took motivation from the for loop that we had used, right? So your question is, do we have to declare the value before the while loop? Yes. Why? Because if you declare it inside the while loop, the problem that will happen is each time you enter the while loop and you write, let's say you write here, I is equal to 1. So each time you enter the while loop, I will always become equal to 1. Right? That is why it is beneficial to like just declare it outside and keep incrementing it each time. Right? Is there any other private group for discussion? So Padma, yes, don't you know? So we have a WhatsApp group, right? Just go to the, can join the WhatsApp group using this link. I'll just share it with you. एक second, ना, just a second. Arey, very good, Shantula. That's exactly what I like, what I try to do, right? So if it's getting easy for you, that's my only intention, right? And that is, yeah, that's if it's serving the purpose, it's very good to know, right? Okay. Muzammil, I'll accept it. If you have sent me a connection request, I'll accept it. No, Padma, do one thing. See, what's going to happen is there are, every student is there only, right? So good students are also there. People who already know coding, beginners are also there, or you can say people who are fluent with more than these things, like who know, who have more knowledge than we are providing in the class, right? I mean, they know the further concepts also. So every kind of student is there in the group. So if you have any doubts, any concerns, feel free to ask them, right? So maybe some student will answer you, or maybe someone from AccioJob will answer you, right? So you don't worry, right? And otherwise, I have already told you, right? I always keep telling you, just connect with me on LinkedIn. And just in 1 or 2 more days, I'm going to share my number directly with you guys, right? The people who are sincere and who are joining the class daily, you can just ask me your doubts anytime. Okay, so that's something that you can do. Muzammil, एक second ना bro, just 1 second. This is what you can do. LinkedIn ID, just go there and search for it. Let me just do it for you. No, I have a message. Maybe it's like, is it one of you, Uday? Do we have a Uday in the class? Okay, maybe he has left. No, I'll talk to him later. But yeah, anyways, cool then. I guess, yeah, discussion. Okay, Zafrul has also sent a link. Let me just share that. Yes, that's also something. I don't know if that's the official one or the unofficial one. The one that I have shared earlier, that is the official WhatsApp group by Accio. Yeah, Zafrul has shared it, so I'm just sharing it with you guys. Anyways, right? Cool then. I just wanted to know the basic feedback regarding the classes that we are having, right? So if it's adding value, that's very good to know. Okay, cool then. So this is the question, sum of digits. Let's first understand this question, right? And maybe what we can do is maybe Hemant sir can carry it on from the implementation point of view. Okay, so sum of digits. The first thing, so this is the first good question that we are seeing. Okay, you guys should understand that sum of digits. Let us first understand the question, right? So from this point onwards, we are going to see some good quality questions. My advice to you there is, whenever you see a good question, right? So something like sum of digits, what you need to do is first understand the requirement of the question. First, understand what the question is saying. Then, as a second step, start thinking of the approach. And then, third step, fourth step, then at the end, we are going to code. So, long story short, the first thing that you need to do when you see a question is read the question, take your time, understand it. The second thing is formulate an approach for that and leave coding behind. Assume that you don't know how to code, right? Just think about how your mother or your father would solve it. They don't know coding, right? So, but they have a brain. So they will use some logic, they will use some sense, and they will try to tell you, okay, this is how I can do it, right? Think about that. That is the approach that you have to translate into coding, right? So, moral of the story is the most important point is the most important part of this journey is to formulate the logic. Coding will become very easy. Right now, it is slightly difficult for you because you are new to the language, right? And that would happen anywhere. If I ask you to start speaking Chinese from tomorrow, that is also going to become difficult. But that doesn't mean that you don't know how to speak. You can formulate your thoughts and you can speak in English or Hindi. It's just that because Chinese is new, you are facing some struggle. You are facing some issues. Similarly, because JavaScript is new, you are allowed to face some issues. That is perfectly fine. But what's most important is that you develop the logic of how a particular problem can be solved. Right? That is more important. Right? Having said that, let us just have a look at this question. You're given a number. Your task is to find sum of all the digits in this number. That is what your task is. The only line of input contains a number. Okay, the input format, right? So I've told you, we have not learned how to take user input, but that is already done for us, right? So whatever these lines of code are, I don't know, you don't know, but these lines of code just take the input magically. So we have the input from the console. Whatever we will enter here, that input will be received in the n variable. So that part of the job is already done for us, right? Now what we have to understand here is we have to find the sum of all the digits in the number. So let's first understand the question. 1873, right? 1873. So this is the, just a second. So this is the question. This is the number that we have, 1873. And what does the sum of digits mean? So you have the number as 1873. And basically, what does the question say? Sum of the digits. So this is the number. What are the digits? 1, 8. Let me just clear this whole thing. 1, 8, 7, 3. These are the digits, right? So these are the digits that we need to add up. 1 plus 8 plus 7 plus 3. 1873, right? These are all the digits. Sum of the digits mean what? We want to add up all the digits together. That's what we want to do. Okay. So I'm just trying to understand the question here. I don't know how we will code it. I don't know how we will solve it, but I'm just trying to explain the question to you, right? What we have to do here is add up all the digits of this number. 1 plus 8 plus 7 plus 3. And if I do that, what will my answer become? 1 plus 8, 9, 9 plus 7, 16, 16 plus 3, 19. So 19. Let's just see if that is the answer or not. See, 19, right? Then 80923. 80923. Let's have a look at it. 80923. So 8. Let's just write it here. 80923. 8 plus 0 plus 9 plus 2 plus 3. What is it? 8 plus 0, 8 only. So 8 plus 9, 17, 17 plus 2, 19, 19 plus 3, 22. Right? Let's just see if that is the answer or not. So this is what we have to do, right? Now we don't know how we will do it. We don't know the logic for that. We don't know the code for that. But let's just proceed step by step, right? The first step is clear to us. What we have to do is clear to us. So forget Java, JavaScript, or whatever language. For a second, just focus on the question. So human to human, is it clear what we have to do in this question? A number will be given to us. We have to break it down into its digits and add all the digits together. That is what we have to do. A number will be given to us. We will have to extract all the digits and add all of them together. That is what we have to do, right? So this question is, is first of its kind, is a, very good question that we are seeing. So I am not expecting you to solve it on your own. I am going to help you out with the approach, right? I'm going to tell you what the approach is going to be, right? And what is it going to be? Let's have a look at that, right? So let's consider 1873, for example. Now we don't know how this will happen, but all of us can understand if we can extract all the digits independently. If we can extract 1, if we can extract 8, if we can take out 7, take out 3, and add all of them together, our problem will be solved. Okay. Now we just have to focus on how we can do that, because that's the main thing, right? This is something we have to do. Take out each and every digit, add them into the sum. But how do we do that? That is the problem. That is the point where we are stuck, because we can't think of any approach. So one hint or one starting point that I will give you, because I already know the solution, right? So that's why I'm saying it is a kind of question where I don't expect you to solve on your own. I don't expect you to come up with a solution on your own, right? So 1873, we want 1 plus 8 plus 7 plus 3. So 1 plus 8 plus 7 plus 3. Can I also write it as 3 plus 7 plus 8 plus 1? So what I have done is, instead of adding the digits from here, I have just moved in the reverse order, right? 3 plus 7 plus 8 plus 1. 3 plus 7 plus 8 plus 1. Obviously, the answer is going to be the same. 1 plus 2 has the same answer as 2 plus 1. All of you know that, right? This is, right now we have a little less time. Otherwise, I would have asked you to think more about it. But this is the first breakthrough that we have in this question, right? I mean, this is the first point of interest, that this is also going to give us the same addition result, the same summation. Okay. So what I'm trying to say here is, maybe we cannot extract 1 from this number, but we can extract 3 from this number, right? And let me tell you how. To tell that to you, there is one mathematical operator that I would want you to like learn here, a new mathematical operator that is called as modulo. Yes, it is the percentage sign and it is called as modulo. It is called as modulo. Okay. And what does this particular operator do? So if you take two numbers, A modulo B, the resultant or the result that you get is remainder on dividing A by B. Right? This is the answer that you get if you do A modulo B. Again, nothing would be clear. So let me take a real example here. Right? 5 modulo 2. What will you get? If we do 5 modulo 2, what will we get? 5 modulo 2. And if what I'm saying is true, we will get the remainder. Right? So 5 modulo 2 will give us the remainder. Right? So what will be the remainder if you try to divide 5 by 2? Think about it. So if you try to divide 5 by 2, what will be the remainder here? Think about it. So if you try to divide 5 by 2, 1 will be the remainder, right? Because 4 will be divided perfectly by 2. Sorry. 4 will be divided perfectly by 2, right? And 1 will be left out because 4 plus 1 is 5. So 1 will be left out as a remainder, right? So in this whole scenario, in this whole story, what is the remainder? If you try to divide 5 by 2, what is the remainder? 1. Similarly, if you try to divide, let's say 13 modulo 10. If you try to divide 13 by 10, what will be the remainder? Just tell me. I mean, just think about it. You can be wrong also. That is fine. 3, right? Muzammil is saying 3. What do you guys have to say? 3 only, right? Why? Because see, 10 will get perfectly divisible. 13 is what? 10 plus 3. 10 will get perfectly divisible. 3 will be left out. So 3 is the remainder here, right? And one general point of advice I have for you, whenever you see something like this, 13 modulo 25, don't get confused. Don't get confused. You will say, sir, it is a smaller number and you are trying to divide it by a bigger number. So what? If there is a smaller number and you are trying to divide it by a bigger number, the whole number will become a remainder because it will not even get divided once, right? That is what you mean to say. So the whole number will act as a remainder, right? So 13 modulo 25. 13 modulo 25 will be what? 13. Okay. So now that you know a little bit about modulo operator, tell me what will you have? What will you have? So we have 1873, right? 1873 is our example. So tell me, what will you have if you try to take modulo? If you try to take the modulo of a number with 10, what will you have? So I'm just giving you a hint. 1873 is 1870 plus 3. So what will you have if you try to divide? If you try to write something like this: 1873 modulo 10. What will you have as a result of that? Tell me. 3 will be the remainder, right? So I've only received one answer. I mean, do you all agree that yes, 1870 will be perfectly divided by 10 and only 3 will be left out? So 1873 modulo 10 is going to give me 3, right? So what we can understand from here is, what is 3? First of all, what is 3 here? 3 is the last digit of 1873. 3 is the last digit of 1873. So what do we see here? The last digit. The last digit is what? If I say that n is the number, so I'm just trying to convert this whole thing, trying to take it towards programming, right? So if let's say n is equal to 1873, right? So 1873 is the number. So n is the variable which is holding that value. Last digit can be n modulo 10, where n can be any number. Where n can be any number, right? Are we all convinced with that? Right? No, Padma, yes, it is the remainder. What I'm trying to ask you here is, if I'm specifically talking about modulo 10 case, right? So in this case, 3 is getting left out as the remainder. What is 3? 3 is the last digit of this thing, right? Let me also tell you one more thing, right? So okay, for 1873, when you take a modulo with 10, what do you get? 3, right? So now I have the last digit, right? I will add it to my sum somewhere. I will add it to my sum, right? Now I'm going to remove it. So now what I'm going to ask you is, what is 187 modulo 10? What is 187 modulo 10? See guys, it is basically, you don't have to do it like this always, but I'm just trying to make it easy for you, right? It is 180 plus 7 modulo 10. All of you know 180 will be perfectly divisible by 10. Only 7 will be remaining, right? So what will be the answer? What will be the answer of this whole scenario? 7. So now I have 7 also, which is the last digit of 187. Okay. Now I remove this 7 also. 18 modulo 10. What do you see? 8. Right? Now I remove this 8 also. 1 modulo 10. I have just told you that if you see a smaller number and you are trying to get the remainder on dividing by a bigger number, the whole number will be remaining, right? So here you will have 1 only, right? And once you are done with 1 also, nothing is remaining, right? So I'm just trying to, I'm not trying to explain the whole thing, but I'm trying to move you towards the solution, right? So this way, if we keep following this approach, this is very irritating. It always like it's very buggy this way. It always does this. Anyways, so what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to move you towards the solution, right? So this way we can extract the last digit of the number that we are dealing with, right? So just one second, right? Hemant, are you here? Just let me know once you join, brother. Yeah, you have joined with Avi's number, I guess. Avi's account. Okay, Chirag. Sorry, actually, yesterday Hemant joined, so I thought it's Hemant who will be joining. Cool. Chirag, I'll just make you the panelist for once. Just a second. Uh, I guess I have promoted you to a panelist. I guess you will be able to join separately in a while. So yeah, your Chirag sir is going to be here for taking your doubts, right? So I just hand it over to him in a couple of minutes. Chirag, bro.
Yes, I'm here. Yeah.
Yeah, bro.
Just
So
give me a
basically,
minute.
I was explaining them the sum of digits question. I was just
Okay.
in the first steps, I just told them
Mhm.
that how they can extract the last digit. Can you take it from this point on and take the doubts as well?
Okay. Sum of digits. All
This
right.
this one. Let me just
Taking.
share the link with you as well. Do you have the
Yeah,
login
sure.
and everything?
Not really. Okay, I can just read the question. You are given number. Task is to find the sum of all the digits of the
No
number.
worries.
Okay, I can take it now.
Let me
All
let me
right.
just let me just help you out there.
Mhm.
This is the link, and just a second, brother.
Yeah. Mhm.
Just a second. Just log into this one, right? And I guess you
Okay.
have the link and everything for that one. So yeah,
Mhm.
although I know that you are here to take up the doubts, but yeah, it would be very good if you can just take this up as well, right? That
Sure,
way,
sure, sure.
I guess. So basically, I just like Chirag will give his introduction separately as well. But the idea
Mhm.
here is, so from 8 to 10 we will be studying the concepts together, and from 10 to 10:30 every night, Chirag is going to come to resolve your doubts, right? So it's very important that you get familiar with Chirag also, and because you guys don't ask up a lot of doubts on your own, that's why I thought it would be very good if Chirag takes up this question from this point onwards, right? Tomorrow we are going to continue our discussion on like other topics, but yeah, Now, because we have studied everything else, you're free to solve all the loop related questions, right? So yeah, I'll hand it over to Chirag now. And yeah, bro,
Yeah,
I'll just make you the host.
I'm here. Okay, let me just turn on my video as well.
That would be great.
I think you have stopped it for something because I'm getting your
I've
host
made you the
hasn't
host.
allowed.
Can you now?
Just let me check it. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I'm visible now. Okay.
Cool.
All right. So, okay, shall we start, guys? Shall we go on with the doubts if you guys have anything? Okay. Okay, let me just rename myself as well so you guys don't mistake my name. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so I think we can begin now. All right. Okay, one by one, if we can go. Okay, chalo, I'll explain the sum of digits for you guys firstly. Okay. Okay, just a minute. Just a minute. I'm just sharing my screen one second. So let me firstly open a notepad. As of now, today, I won't be having a whiteboard with me, but I'll make sure I'll try to get something for you guys for tomorrow. Today, let's work out with a notepad. Okay. Just okay. I hope you guys can see my screen. Please reply in chat. The one who was asking for sum of digits. Okay, firstly, I'm taking the first query at the moment. Okay, yeah. So, sum of digits. So, what was our question? Firstly, let's go with the logic for this. Okay, we see for JavaScript DSA. When it comes to DSA, you guys need not worry about the language. Okay, firstly, try to make the concept of it. Then, in whichever language you're comfortable with. Okay, because for a lot of students, I've observed that when it comes to DSA, students are usually much they feel much more comfortable with Java or C++. Okay. So yeah, we'll try to code a generic solution, and then accordingly, I would love if you guys can code it in JavaScript. Okay. And if you face a problem, then we can discuss it. All right. So yeah, the question was that let's say we have a number 87689. Just give me a minute. Yeah. So we have the digits 8710689. That is our number. Now we want to take the sum of all the digits. What will be the solution for it? Simply 8 plus 7 plus 1 plus 0 plus 6 plus 8 plus 9. Okay. That will be it. Okay. You can calculate this on your own. Now let's go about the approach for it. So what we can see from this is what we want is that we need to take the sum of all the digits one by one. Okay. That means we have to extract the digits one by one, right? I hope this much is clear to you. Okay, font size. Yeah, I hope this is visible to you now. And please tell me if this much is clear to you. Can you get this point that we'll have to extract all the digits one by one? Okay, this is what is needed. You can calculate the exact answer on your own. Okay, like I'm just giving you an example with this, but what I want you to know is that I hope you guys understand that we need to extract the digits one by one. Okay, I hope that much should be clear to you. Please respond yes or no. And if the font size is also clear to you, so please reply accordingly. Okay. This much should be clear. We have to extract all the digits one by one. Okay. Now let's go on with the approach for it. Okay. Now, if I take this number 8710689, okay, and I divide it by 10. Okay, this is simple mathematics. This is no coding here. We are just talking simple mathematics here. The result will be 8710689. Okay, this much is clear. Okay, and now, okay, sorry, we'll have to remove 9. I think I added an additional 9. So sorry. So the result will be 8710668. Okay. This will be the result when we divide this by 10. Okay. Now in simple mathematics, when you divide this number by 10, you also get a remainder. All right. So the remainder in this case will be 9. Okay. I hope this is clear. Are we clear till this point or not? Font size is still low. यार इससे ज्यादा क्या बड़ा करूं? I hope this is visible now. इससे ज्यादा क्या बड़ा करेंगे? This is the max I can zoom in. Okay. चलो ठीक है. This is the remainder we'll be getting. Okay. Now if I do this operation again on the divided number 871068 divided by 10. Okay. What will I get this time? I'll get 871068. Okay. This will be 106 again. I don't know why I'm adding an additional digit every time. So sorry for that. But yeah, this will be the result we'll be getting. Okay. This will be our quotient. Okay. In mathematics, we call this as a quotient. Okay. Divisor, quotient, remainder. Just keep these 3 points in your mind till this point. Okay. Next, we'll take up the next remainder. So if we divide this number by 10, we get the question. We have got the we have got the question. Now we need to have the remainder. So the remainder here will be 8. Okay. Similarly, if I just repeat this process again, I'll do it quickly now. Okay. We'll get 8710 and we'll get a remainder of 6. Okay. Next, we have 8710 divided by 10. Quotient is this and the remainder is this. Okay. And similarly, we'll repeat the process. Okay. This, I hope you got this point till now. I hope this was clear to everyone what we were doing. It's up to that. It's clear. Okay. Okay. Please, एक दो जने और respond कर दो. Apart from this Bandari, if I'm not pronouncing it correctly, Bandari guy. So, yeah. Okay. So we have the remainders. Okay. Now, if I just closely observe, when I divide it by 10 every time, okay, I'm getting this remainder and this is what I want to have. Okay. This is exactly what we need to have. All the digits one by one, 9860. Okay. Then we'll be getting 1 after this and then 7, then 8. Okay. This is how we'll be proceeding in further steps. Okay. 7 and then 8. Okay. So this is how we'll be going about this. All right. Now in computer science, okay, if I just ask you, how do I find a remainder of x divided by y? Okay. In computer science, if I just want to have the remainder of x divided by y, how do I get it? I hope most of you might be aware with this operator. Okay. Modulo operator. Okay. Are you aware of this or not? X modulo y. Yeah. Rashmitha. Okay. All right. So this operator is what we want to use in this case for solving the problem. Okay. How we'll be using that? Okay. Let's just see that. If I just do 8710,689 modulo 10, what will I get? Please add the results to your this thing chat sections. Okay. 9. If whosoever understands this, please write the result accordingly. Okay. So I can see a few messages. Yeah, I can see 5 to 6 messages at the moment. All right. So I'm assuming that you guys have got what I'm trying to say. Okay. So the result will be 9 in this case. Okay. Now on next step, if I want to have the next remainder for this thing, this number. Okay. So firstly, I'll have to change my number. Okay. Firstly, I have to change the number. How will I change my number? I'll do 8710,689. Now this is very important step. Okay. I'll change my number to this value. Okay. 8710,689. If I just do this in computer science, what result will I get? Not in terms of decimals, I'm just asking in terms of the whole numbers. Okay. The result will be 871068. Okay. I hope this is clear till this point. No, Diana, you're wrong. The result will not be 9860. Acha, you are writing all the digits. Okay. Chalo, I can get it from that as well. Okay. So the number will be 871068. Okay. Now the number is changed. Now let's move on to the next step. Okay. So I have got this number by this operation. So can I push it in the array? Can I maintain a global array variable here? Okay. I hope you guys are aware of what arrays are. Yes or no? Okay. So I'm taking into consideration that you guys are aware of arrays. Okay. So we'll have an array. Okay. We can push this 9 element. That means our number modulo 10 to the array every time, right? So we can do array dot push. ARR is my array name. Okay. That is the generic name which I use. So I've just written it as ARR. Okay. Don't get confused by it. Okay. So I'll just do number. I'll just do my number, whatever my number is, modulo 10. Okay. This will store my remainder. Okay. I'll change my number to this 871068 and then I'll repeat this step again. I'll again take the remainder 871068 modulo 10. Okay. The result I get this time will be 8. All right. So I'll just do array dot push again, the same step. Number modulo 10. Okay. Number is 871068. Now in next step, I will have to change my number again if I want to have 6 as a remainder. So what I'll do is I'll just do number is equals to 871068 divided by 10. Okay. So the number now becomes 87106. All right. This is our new number. I hope we are not going fast on this. Array is a data structure, Muzamil Ahsan. Okay. Array is a data structure which we use for storing our numbers. Okay. Any kind of objects. Okay. For example, if you want to store all the numbers somewhere, okay, together, so you can store it in a data structure. It's like a box. In simple terms, if you have not been taught about arrays till now, so you can understand it like a box. Okay. It's a box wherein you can put anything. Okay. You can put strings, you can put numbers, you can put decimal numbers, you can put objects as well, and you can put boxes inside a box as well. Okay. So that is also possible. So I hope this is clear till now. Please respond yes or no. Okay. So majority of students are going with a yes. Okay. So we have this number. Now what I'll try to do is, again, I'll take this remainder again. What I'll do is array dot push. Okay. Now number modulo 10. What is our number? 871068. Okay. No, 87106 modulo 10. So the result will be 6 in this case. Okay. So actually we are pushing 6. Okay. So if you see what I'm doing is I'm repeating I'm repeating a step at every point. 2 steps, in fact, not one step. Let me just connect now. Just give me a minute. Yeah. Okay. So if you just see, I'm repeating 2 steps every time. Okay. That is this step and this step, number divided by 10. One is number modulo 10 and the other step is number is equals to number slash 10. Okay, slash means division. Okay, keep that in mind. Modulus of percentage sign, in simple terms, layman's terms I'm talking at the moment. Percentage sign means modulus. We are taking the remainder. And when I'm adding a slash, that means simple division. Okay. This is simple mathematical division. This is simple mathematical operation for taking the remainder. All right. I hope we are clear till this point. Okay. So I can see yes from most of the students. Okay. Let's see if I do not have any other questions. Okay. Yeah. All right. So this is the operation we are repeating every time. Okay. Number. Now let's just abbreviate number to num. Okay. Number, we are just taking it as remainder. Okay. Let's declare a variable remainder here, which we need to push every time. So remainder is equals to num modulus 10. Okay. Number is very long, so I'm just writing it as num for now. Okay. This is a variable name now. Now we are slowly moving towards the solution. Okay. All right. And then the next step, what I'm doing is I'm taking a division. So these are the two steps which we'll be repeating every time. Okay. Number modulus 10 and number divided by 10. Okay. So this is how we'll be repeating it at every stage. Okay. Now the question comes is कि till what point we have to repeat this. Okay. ऐसा तो नहीं है कि we can repeat it till infinity. फिर तो infinite loop हो जाएगा. ठीक है ना? कुछ एक क्राइटेरिया होना चाहिए ना कब तक रिपीट करेंगे. ठीक है. एक क्राइटेरिया होना चाहिए नहीं. प्लीज रिस्पॉन्ड यस और नो इफ यू थिंक दैट देयर शुड बी अ क्राइटेरिया दैट we should follow for adding these two operations every time. Okay, so अगर if you guys are aware of loops, okay, loops हम क्यों यूज करते हैं when we have some repetitive operation. एक ऑपरेशन है जिसे बार बार रिपीट करना है सेम ऑपरेशन को. ठीक है ना. लूप्स हम तब यूज करते हैं. तो नाउ we are using the same operations every time. Number modulus 10 and number divided by 10. Number modulus 10, number divided by 10. So aren't we following a similar approach? दो ऑपरेशंस को बार बार रिपीट कर रहे हैं. सो शुडंट वी यूज अ लूप हियर. ठीक है ना. कंडीशन आ गया हमारे पास. दो चीजें हमें पता लग गई हैं. एक तो कंडीशन हो गया, एक हमारे पास लूप हो गया. ठीक है ना. लूप हमें फिगर आउट हो गया कि लूप हमें आना चाहिए यहाँ पे. एंड सेकेंडली देयर शुड बी अ कंडीशन कि टिल व्हाट पॉइंट वी नीड टू ऐड दिस थिंग. कब तक ये डिवीजन और मॉड्यूलस ऑपरेशन चलेगा. अब अगर हम ध्यान से देखें, हर स्टेप पे हम नंबर को डिवाइडेड बाय 10 कर रहे हैं. ठीक है. नंबर इज इक्वल्स टू डिवाइडेड बाय 10 एवरी टाइम. हर स्टेप पे हम फॉलो कर रहे हैं. तो एक पॉइंट ऐसा नहीं आएगा जब नंबर 0 हो जाएगा. ऐसा भी तो आएगा. अगर मैं 871068 से चला, पहले क्या बना था? 871068, 871068, 8710, 871, फिर 87. सॉरी, एक मिनट, जस्ट मिनट. फिर 87 बनेगा, फिर 87 के बाद 8 बनेगा, और फिर उसके बाद 0 नहीं बन जाएगा. इज दिस क्लियर टू यू और नॉट? जो मैंने बताया कि नंबर 0 पे पहुंचेगा या नहीं. यस और नो, प्लीज रिस्पॉन्ड. ओके, ठीक है. एनीवन एल्स अपार्ट फ्रॉम दिस गाय, प्लीज रिस्पॉन्ड बिकॉज this is my first class as well as for this session wherein I'm taking too many students together. So yeah, do let me know if you guys feel comfortable. Okay, so I'm assuming that you guys are understanding it. I can see a lot of yes in the chat section. Okay, तो ठीक है, नंबर 0 पे पहुंच जाएगा. ऑल राइट. और 0 के बाद कोई फर्क पड़ेगा अगर मैं 0 का रिमाइंडर लूं 10 से, या 0 का, आई होप, एक मिनट स्क्रीन में थोड़ा सा कर दूं. हाँ, 0 का रिमाइंडर लूं अगर मैं 10 से, या 0 को मैं 10 से डिवाइड करूं, क्या रिजल्ट होगा? हर बार 0 ही तो होगा. कुछ फर्क थोड़ी पड़ेगा. और 0 में अपने सम में ऐड करता रहूंगा तो उससे कोई फर्क पड़ रहा है? नहीं पड़ रहा ना. नहीं पड़ रहा ना. आई होप दैट्स क्लियर. ठीक है. इट्स वेरी ऑब्वियस कि 0 को 10 से डिवाइड करोगे या मॉड्यूलस लोगे तो कुछ नहीं आएगा. तो दैट मीन्स हमारी कंडीशन हमें कब तक चलानी होगी? जब तक नंबर हमारा जो है वो ग्रेटर देन 0 है. जब वो 0 को हिट कर गया तो हमें नहीं चलाना. क्योंकि अगर वो 0 को हिट करेगा भी जिस पॉइंट पे, तो क्या होगा? आप एक बार चला दो, 0 डिवाइड बाय 10, क्या ऐड करोगे अपने सम में? 0 ऐड करोगे. कोई जरूरत नहीं है करने की. ठीक है ना. या रिमाइंडर जो है उसका 0 मॉड्यूलस 10 करोगे, सेम 0 ही ऐड कर रहे हो. एंड एडिंग anything to 0 doesn't change that. Okay, the number will be remaining the same before the operation and after the operation. Okay, तो our condition is, हमें दोनों चीजों के आंसर मिल गए. ठीक है. हमें ये भी पता लग गया यहाँ पे कि हमारा लूप यूज होगा. ठीक है. और हमें ये भी पता लग गया कि हमारा नंबर शुड बी ग्रेटर देन 0. तो लूप है, और ये लूप की कंडीशन हो गई. हम लूप का सिंटैक्स ऐसे ही लिखते हैं ना, वाइल लूप का. एट द मोमेंट आई एम टेकिंग अ वाइल लूप. ठीक है ना. एक मिनट, अब इसके कोड पे आ जाते हैं थोड़ा सा. लेट मी जस्ट ऐड इट एट द बॉटम, जस्ट गिव मी a minute. Okay? ठीक है. वाइल लूप का सिंटैक्स यही होता है ना हमारा, कंडीशन. ठीक है. और ब्रैकेट्स. ओके. वाइल लूप का सिंटैक्स सबको पता है? वो यूज कर रहे हैं. इसके बाद हसम विल गो टू दैट ओनली. ठीक है. अभी बस मैं थोड़ा सा थियोरेटिकल जा रहा हूँ. ठीक है. तो कंडीशन और वाइल लूप सबको पता है, आई सपोज. ठीक है. ऑल राइट. वाइल लूप का सिंटैक्स और उसकी कंडीशन. कंडीशन में क्या वैल्यू डालनी है हमें? कंडीशन की वैल्यू आएगी नंबर is greater than 0. ठीक है, अभी हमने डिस्कस करा कि जब तक नंबर ग्रेटर देन 0 होगा तब तक ही हमारा कोड चलेगा, उसके बाद हम कुछ भी करें कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता। ठीक है, ऑपरेशंस क्या थे अब हमारे, उन पे आ जाते हैं। हर स्टेप में मैं क्या कर रहा था, एक वेरिएबल ले रहा था। अभी हम इसको कंपाइलर में भी लिख देंगे एक लैंग्वेज में, सेम ही कोड होगा वैसे तो, बट चलो आपको कंपाइलर पे कन्वीनियंट है तो वहां पे भी लिखेंगे। ठीक है, डोंट वरी अबाउट दैट। ओके, एंड 10:30 तक हम इसे ओवर कर लेंगे, नो प्रॉब्लम्स। ठीक है, तो नंबर रिमाइंडर क्या कर रहे थे हमारे पास, नंबर मॉड्यूलस 10। ठीक है, ये रिमाइंडर हो गया। ओके, रिमाइंडर हमारा स्टोर हो रहा है। और दूसरा स्टेप हम क्या कर रहे थे, नंबर को डिवाइड बाय 10 कर रहे थे, राइट। नंबर इज इक्वल्स टू नंबर डिवाइडेड बाय 10। ओके, आई होप दिस पार्ट इज क्लियर टू एवरीवन टिल नाउ। I hope everyone's able to understand this. I'm so sorry, I didn't know that students are here from uh, some students are here who do not understand Hindi. So I'll make sure of that I'm using English every time now. So sorry. Okay. I hope this is clear to everyone that the condition, the while loop, and the two statements which we discussed above, that will be the repetitive operations. Okay. Number is equals to number modulus 10. Sorry, number is equals to number divided by 10. That is the division operation, and the remainder we are taking every time. Okay. Order B, I hope everyone's clear with the order as well. Ki why am I writing remainder first and then the division operation? Because if I do number is equals to number divided by 10 before this remainder operation, then I'll be missing a remainder every time. Okay? I'll be missing a remainder variable every time if I write the division operation before this. Okay, so make this very clear that firstly we'll be taking the remainder. How, just let's do a dry run for this. Okay, this was the number. So if I do a division operation first, okay, so the number would become 87, sorry, the number would become 87109. Okay, and then I take the remainder, so the remainder I'll get is 9, but I missed the 6 here. Okay, the 6 would be gone in the air. Okay, we missed it, right? So we'll have to include the remainder step first, right? So yeah, this is how we go about it. Now let's move on to a compiler. Okay, as of now I'm moving for a C++ compiler. Just a minute. Okay, let's write a generic code for it. Okay, let's just forget everything that is written here. It's all very complex for you guys to understand at the moment. Okay, so just pay attention to this thing. Okay, just pay attention to this solve thing. Okay, this is the function which I've created for you guys. Okay, just pay attention to this. I hope everyone's clear with this. Please write a yes if you guys can understand. Apart from this guy Bandari, again I can't read the complete name, it's not visible on the screen. So yeah, Rashmita, I'm so sorry. So apart from Rashmita, if anyone, I hope I'm wanting replies from everyone else apart from Rashmita. So please write. Yeah, C++. Yeah, yeah. So it's good if some of you are familiar with C++ because I like to code in C++ a lot. So yeah, I code in JavaScript as well, but C++ is my favorite language when it comes to DSA questions. Chalo, I think most of the students are clear with this. Okay, so we are taking we are not taking any variables. We are straight away writing the while loop. Okay, while loop, condition, and the statements. Okay, this is the syntax of while loop. Okay, this is how we begin with it, because we decided that we need a condition, we need the while loop because we have repetitive operations, and now we'll just place the values. What values we decided, let's have it side by side. Okay, so you guys can see it. I hope you guys can see both the screens for the notepad as well as the compiler. Please write yes or no. I know we are just writing a generic code. For this question, it's like there's no difference in C++ and JavaScript. Okay, so it will be the same code for JavaScript as well. Malab, there will not be any kind of change. Okay, so you just need to write the same code. I hope everyone's clear on that. Okay, therefore I mentioned it at the beginning. We are not doing C++. Okay, please don't have that in mind. I'm writing a C++ code. Okay, I'm just writing a generic code. I'm trying to teach you guys that for DSA problems, it is very important to firstly get the logic and then write the code. The code will be the same in JavaScript as well as C++. Okay. So yeah, the condition will be, as we can see from here, number greater than 0. Okay. Number greater than 0. All right. This is our condition. Okay. What were our statements? The statements were, let's write a vary keyword. Okay. Let. Okay. Chalo. If you guys had some confusion with int variable, so I'm writing a let keyword here. Okay. So x, let's take the variable remainder. Let's not take x. Remainder. Remainder is number modulus 10. All right. And now I'll change my number. What was the second condition? We can straight away copy it from here. Number is equals to number divided by 10. All right. Slash operation. Okay. So now I have all my remainders. One after the other, I'll get my remainders. Okay. Now let's make a change to our code. Okay. What we discussed in the beginning. Okay. Let's move away from our code quickly. Okay. We were using an array in the beginning for storing the numbers, but we do not need that. Can't we have it like we straight away have a sum variable? Okay. What I'll do is we need to just return the sum of all the variables, right? So let's take a sum variable here. Let sum is equals to 0. Okay. And just add the remainder every time to it. Sum. Whenever I take a remainder, I just add it to it. Sum is equals to sum plus remainder. Simple. What I'm doing is every time, let's say I had the number 87651. Okay. So I'll extract 1, then I'll extract 5 and add it to sum. Then I'll extract 6, then 7, then 8. Okay. One by one, I'll extract all of them. And when I reach at this point, when my number is equals to 8. Okay. This is a comment. This is not a part of the code. This is a comment. Okay. All of this. This is also a comment. When the number is 8, so what will happen? Number divided by 10 is equals to 0. Boom. We end our while loop because the number has violated the limit, violated this condition. Okay. Number is equals to 0. So 0 is not greater than 0. Okay. So this condition holds false and the while loop breaks. Simple as that. And our sum is stored in the variable. Now, if I want to just print it, so I'll do console.log sum. Done. Okay. Either you can do that, or if it's mentioned in the question to return the value, then you can do return sum. You can do either one of them. That's up to the question which you're solving. Okay. So yeah, that's the complete code for it. Okay. Your code is not visible. Ek minute ruko. I hope it's visible now. Wait a minute. For JavaScript, you have to use .js file. Okay. Rashmita, you have to use .js file for JavaScript. Okay. And this is this you can avoid. This is again your function name. So you can have any function name accordingly. Okay. So you just return the sum variable and then we are done. Coming on to, I am again repeating this, how we are repeating the loop. Again, as I mentioned in the notepad as well from the beginning, at every step, what we are doing, we are taking the remainder and dividing the number by 10. Okay. So how is the loop repeating? Every time what happens is, again, I'll just quickly take a small example because we are short on time. 876. Okay. Initially, this is the number. Remainder is equals to 6 at the first step. Number becomes 87. Next step, in the while loop, we check if 87 is greater than 0. Of course it is. So the loop will repeat. Okay. Again, we'll have remainder is equals to 7. Okay. Number becomes 8. Okay. Number becomes 8. All right. Next step, 8 is greater than 0. Okay. The loop will repeat. Remainder becomes 8. Okay. Number now becomes 0. 8 divided by 10, which is equals to 0. Now, when I try to repeat 0 greater than 0, while loop ke andar, inside the while loop, if I add this, the loop breaks. Okay, because 0 is not greater than 0, which is false. All right. So the loop will break at this point. Okay. So this is how we go about it. And yeah, so you can just return the sum variable. All right. And I think we are done with the code now. please change the size of the code. I think I've zoomed it enough, so इससे ज़्यादा तो the code will disappear. ठीक है? तो okay. I hope this is visible to you, all of you. This is again our function name, void solve. Again in JavaScript, I don't think you have the void variable. So you can have function keyword here, okay? If it's JavaScript, okay? This is how we go about it, okay? Just write this part of code in your function. This is generic for all the languages, okay? We are just discussing simple while loop and for loops, okay? So this should be clear to you, okay? Chalo, ठीक है? I think we are done, and I'll stop my screen presenting now. How it will get input number means that digit numbers, okay? For input, I think in your cases, the input is already given to you. So you need not write the input on your own, okay? For the questions which are available on the AccioJob portal, you just need to finish your code in that function which is given, okay? So there's no need for taking the input, all right? So I think we are done on this, okay? Again, that'll be a C++ running. So, well, it's the correct code. Don't worry about it. It'll give the right result. So let's quickly do it. Again, I'll take some C++ variables, then you guys will get confused. So that is why I didn't do it. Okay, because the let variable does not work in this. This is a CPP file. Okay, that is why I didn't run it. But this code is a JavaScript code, and this will run every time. Okay, so be assured with that. Okay, we'll have a better compiler tomorrow because for a very short notice I was available today. So yeah, I didn't get much time. Okay, but tomorrow we'll have a better compiler. We'll use this VS Code compiler and we'll run your code. Okay, so be assured with that, and or we can run the AccioJob portal code as well. Okay, we can run it on AccioJob portal. Okay, so yeah, I think we are done with this. Now I'm ending the session. Okay, have a nice time, everyone. Good night. Okay, happy learning.